All right, there will be bourbon. Claude Krause joining the party tonight. How we doing, brother?
Doing well, man. How are you? Thanks for
I
having me.
I am fantastic. Always a pleasure. Always welcome. So Claude, another one of well, I don't know if you would consider him part of that goon crew or not, but you definitely roll with some of the crowd, so that's cool.
Yeah,
But
outskirts,
yeah,
way
yeah,
far on the outskirts.
way on the outskirts, yeah, on the outer circle, not the inner circle, right?
That's right.
A fantastic account from Twitter again. Like I try to get all these accounts usually that come from that side of Twitter, who are really interesting, I think, and worth learning a little bit more about outside of just the preset limit of the character content or the character settings on Twitter. So Claude is joining us tonight. He's also so the account is Claude's Barbecue, right? Or Claude's BBQ, right?
Yeah.
And that's one of my biggest interests of you, I think, is just the amount of food and the stuff that you cook. I love it. So I'll get into that. But before we do, as always, There Will Be Bourbon is fueled by America's native spirit. And tonight I got this. This is the first thing I experienced here in the state of Virginia. I don't know I don't know if he wants me putting his whole name out there, but Charles, with a bunch of different numbers at the end of his name on Twitter, he recommended this place. It's Flying Ace Farm. They do distillery. They got beer. And at least they're honest about it. I know they are distilling on the property, but they didn't make this. They blended it and they bottled it there. So it's at the base of the Furnace Mountain of the Potomac River. I think when I talked to the guy in the tasting room, he said it's a blend of two different 6-year bourbons, I believe. So, but anyway, there's this one is the 90 proof. It's really, really, really good. I was pleasantly surprised at how good it was. Virginia shouldn't be that much different when it comes to weather and the state of Kentucky and how their bourbons are made. But, everything is always different, right? So it's cool to see another one of these small craft distilleries pop up. It is called Flying Ace. I tried to get the information from the website, but it's not there. But there is a bunch of, memorabilia and stuff too. I believe the grandfather of the founder, who was a pilot in World War II. Now, I don't know if he actually was an ace, because I believe that's like a legit distinction, but supposedly he was. But again, check it out. It's in Loudoun County. I believe Loudonville is the name of the city or town or whatever. But anyway, so that's what I got. Claude is popping down on some, what is it? Dr. Pepper Zero? Warm. So what's the warm? You like room temp?
Yeah, I drink soda room temp. It's not really warm.
Yeah, it's right. It's room temp. It's not warm.
Well, I mean, the carbonation makes it refreshing, cool.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, and so I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I'll do that with Diet Pepsi from time to time, but I can't drink cold water. And that all came from my time in Iraq in 2003, because that's all the water we were getting. It wasn't room temp. It was air temp, I would call it. So, you're drinking 100-degree water plus every day. So I just got used to now, I cannot do ice cold water. I can't do water with ice. I can't do water in a refrigerator. It has to be room temp. So I'm with you.
It makes sense though.
Yeah. But the exception is because I drink a ton of seltzer water, right? That I like cold.
Of course you do. You CrossFit.
Yes, I do, Claude. Yes, I do. So I hear that. So that's good. I'm glad you brought that up. So let's talk about when you're going to start No, that's not.
Believe me, I would.
Yeah. Oh, you're
down,
huh?
I would do some CrossFitting. It's sort of my workout now. It's nothing 100% set in stone.
Yeah, I mean, it is just literally a trademark phrase for, obviously Greg Glassman, who came up with it. Well, but what it essentially entails is probably what a lot of people do on their own anyway. They just don't call it that, right? So, there are things people do and don't do. But again, if you're doing something that's high intensity and functional movements, then that's all that matters, right? Whatever the fuck you call it is what you call it, right? All right, there's an email I don't need. Okay, cool. Okay, that's what I want to. Let me start there, because you dropped a ton of weight recently, right? Or within the past.
Yeah, I've gone down quite a bit. I've lost like 45 pounds.
That's awesome, dude. That's awesome. What made you want to do that?
I was fat.
Because I'm in the middle of dropping 20, and it's like, I don't mind being 210, but I realize I don't really need to be anymore, right? So it's
well, I still got about maybe 20 pounds I want to go, but I've hit that point where with what I eat, I'm not putting in enough activity, even doing 2 times a day, 6 days a week.
Yeah. Well, you were doing, I don't know if you still are, but I know you like, especially last year, you were doing a ton of like the keto stuff. You were posting.
Yeah, I did a ton. I did a ton of keto, but I was never 100% totally keto.
Yeah.
I don't think you should be stringent on anything.
No.
I called myself dirty keto. I just tried to lay off carbs as much as possible. It's still calories, man.
Right.
If you really want to know what to do, put what you eat in a day on the table and shock yourself. Every time you take something out during one day, set the carbon copy on the table. Yeah. At the end of the day, look at what's on the effing table.
Yeah.
You'll be surprised.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, I don't, and you know, it's not to say that carbs are bad, right? Because they're not, but it's the type of carbs, right?
It is the type of carbs. Correct. Yes. And it all boils down to activity too. Your body's got to be burning it. So
yeah, and I mean that's unfortunately the sedentary lifestyle that a lot of Americans lead, especially a lot of Americans who are in suburbs, and you know the only activity they really do is walking to their car to drive to work or whatever, and they don't really
the bodega on the corner.
Yeah, or you know, there's not a lot of physical activity, and this is one of the things I really liked. I mean, and it comes around the old city center model, right? You look at Europe. You know, you have the town square, and then you have like all your markets and everything within that. People live around that, and the rings kind of go out and out, but there's not a ton of suburbs like what we have in the United States, because it's just, you know, most of those countries are like the size of states here, right? And we got massive, you know, rural areas and populations that eat a lot of shit that, well, maybe, I don't know if you know this, you probably already do. You're a smart guy. You know a lot of shit, especially about food, but what really came out of like World War II and the need to preserve and keep food from spoiling was kind of what led to the shit that we eat now, unfortunately, with the preservatives, the artificial stuff, and it's never gone away. And it was huge marketing campaigns on that just have dictated what Americans eat based on what we were told to think was good.
Oh yeah, the government definitely screwed a lot of people with their table, their pyramid thing or whatever.
Oh yeah. We remember the fat-free thing, right? Back in the 90s, it was like, no, everything was fat-free. And it's like, wait, fat's good for you. You know, it's not.
Fat is good for you. You need to eat quite a bit of fat, actually.
Yeah. Cat, please don't. The claws in the leg. I don't need that. Okay. Yeah. So, all right. So how did you get into, what was it that brought you to Twitter first? Was it the barbecue sauce you were doing? Like what? Because that's where I found you originally, and then like obviously, like I said, your account's kind of it's done a lot from the food that you cook and everything. And so, what was that?
It's actually funny. My brother and niece told me they've been on it a while, and I'm like, I don't have Facebook. I have no footprint anywhere. They first got me on Instagram, which I haven't been on in like a year and a half, to put some photos.
Yeah, you're not.
Yeah, and I did a Twitter account just for shits and giggles. In about a year and a half, I posted maybe 1 or 2 things, and then I started messing around on it, politics and food, man, and just kind of got hooked.
Sucked you in,
yeah, sucks you in like Twitter does. Yeah, it's a cesspool and it's fun, but there's a lot of good people on there.
There is. I met a lot of really good people, as obviously you have as well. But so what was it that is barbecue sauce the thing you started? Was this a business you were doing, or is this a hobby? Like what was that issue, or what issue? Well, what was that?
The hot sauce or just Claude's barbecue?
No, okay, that's right. It's the fucking hot sauce. That's the barbecue's next. Yeah. Okay.
The hot sauce, man. I was actually talking to another guy on Twitter. Nolo is his Twitter handle. Yeah. He's a mechanic that cooks. He cooks quite well. He does the finer dining and stuff. You know, I do the backyard crap. But we were discussing stuff back and forth. He sous vide or whatever the hell that boil your meat shit is. I'm not a fan of that.
I'm not a fan either. I mean,
I'm not a fan of that. It's just another way to do reverse sear.
Yeah.
Excuse me. But anyways, I was getting back and forth with him on some food stuff and fermenting, and I was going to make some hot sauce. I made it. Everyone was like, really like it. You should try selling it. I said, does anybody want some? And then it went from there, man.
It is pretty cool. It's like, you know, there's a lot of people, I know you're on the outer side, but you know, there's a lot of people that have, you know, made some really cool, whether it's books, memorabilia, like shirts, the gun, the kits, like everything that goes into just stuff that people like and need and want and use. And knowing that there's so many people within that community that we kind of are a part of that produce that stuff or do like it's pretty self-sufficient. If you really broke down like what you would need, there's someone in that crew somewhere out there that's probably doing it or can do it.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we kind of already amongst our little circle for certain things have an alternate economy.
That's awesome. That's
I mean, we actually really do. I mean, with Dimp and those other guys that get together and do giveaways and our little corner special, man.
Yeah. So how many different barbecue, or I keep saying barbecues, how many different hot sauces do you peddle?
Hot sauce. I have 4, but one of them is rare. It's the lemon drop. I only can get the peppers on that every now and then. Then I do a version. My private stock is my normal one.
Yeah.
And then I do a version of that that's a few times hotter. And then I have a jalapeno lime. So 4 total.
So what's
only 3 are available most of the time.
Yeah. Okay. So what's in this lemon drop one?
That's Peruvian lemon drop peppers, ginger, a bunch of other stuff.
But it's the peppers that you're saying is tough to get. No, I don't want. Yeah, you don't need to give away the recipe. I was just curious what makes it so hard to get because I never heard of that. So Peruvian.
Yes, the Peruvian lemon drop peppers. They're kind of hard to get a hold of.
Are they just?
They're not big here. They're just not big here in the United States.
Spicy, or where are they at on kind of the scale?
Between.
What would you compare it to?
Between a habanero and a ghost.
Oh, so they're up there, or a little up there.
Yeah, they're not. I consider habanero the first real hot pepper, and from there, that's just my, I guess you'd say, tolerance level.
Yeah,
habanero up starts hot, so it's not in a hot category yet, but it's close. It hangs around.
Did you ever do that Pocky 1-chip challenge? Do you remember that?
Oh yeah.
I did it. I have a video still up on my Instagram from like 4 or 5 years ago in our recruiting station. And I honestly didn't think it was that bad. Like, I didn't think it was that bad. And so like my video is up there. I'll send it to you after this. And it's like, I didn't really react to it. It was about 20 minutes later is when everything kind of hit. That was,
that was
weird.
Wait till the next day's even worse when you eat something more than just a chip.
Yeah,
I did the 4 Horsemen Burger Challenge out of San Antonio, and me and my nephew-in-law were running our mouths. It's an open kitchen. They make you sign a waiver and everything. I forget all the shit it has on it. Yeah. We were running our mouth. So I know. I saw it on a food challenge, man versus food or whatever. I look at my burger compared to what I see him eating, and I know they put a shit ton of stuff on there. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna eat this. I just start chowing. I make it halfway through, and that's all I made. I take your breath away hot. I couldn't speak. And the next day, dude, I'm pissing boiling water. So
oh god. So my worst experience with heat is it was in Budapest at an Indian restaurant. And I've always loved Indian food because it is, you can get spicy or whatever. And I never was bold enough to be like, because you go to an Indian restaurant, they're like, how do you want it? Mild, medium, or hot, right? And I always, mild's usually good enough for me, right? Because I like the flavor of heat. I don't want it to overpower and be just annoying and
exactly.
Right? And I've had medium before, and I was like, all right, it's not that bad. I can try hot. So I'm in this Indian restaurant in Budapest at night, and I was like, all right, here's the night. I'm going hot. So I asked for hot, and that was the most miserable experience eating of my life. Like I was crying, I was sweating, I couldn't get my mouth to cool down. Like,
and you can't taste anything.
No, I don't know what's in it to make it that hot. It doesn't make any sense to me. Like, because it's still butter chicken. You're looking at it, you're like, oh, that looks amazing. And then you eat a bite of it, and it's like instant. Someone just blew your mouth up with a fucking fireball. I don't understand that. Like, I don't know what makes food that. And clearly, this is something that Indian people like, right? Like, they can do this. They're conditioned for that. We're not on that. I'm not on that level, at least.
Oh no, the same thing. If you go to an authentic Thai restaurant,
yeah.
Be careful how high you go on their heat scale, because I've had several that have made me take a while to eat my meal, and I'm pretty tolerant on hot stuff.
I wonder what the evolution of that was. Like when people started cooking stuff and making things spicy or discovering spice and heat, right? Like I wonder what made them just kind of like, let's see how far we can go with this.
Yeah, I have no clue, man. Hell, the hot sauce market boomed about what 10 years ago. I mean, you really didn't have but your major sauces. Now there's so many micro
so many
producers of hot sauce, and there's a lot of good flavors out there. Hell, pickle.
Yeah, I know he makes one. I had one of his once years
I
ago.
give him shit, but we talk on the phone.
Yeah,
his sauce is good shit too.
Yeah, I had it once. This was probably 4 years.
I apologize. I have trucker mouth.
Oh no, you can cuss. You can absolutely cuss on
here. I'll say a lot of bad words. It's just a habit.
Good. That's what we need here. Like, I had Kay on last night. I haven't uploaded or done anything with it, but she's very proper. I was surprised. I was like, well, I felt bad cussing. So I don't know if you remember her, like the yellow snowman.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, get her up at some point. Yeah. So, okay. And you mentioned you talked to this guy and you guys cook together, like, because let's be honest, I don't know what it is you actually do with all of that food you cook, but you cook a lot of food. So what is this your job? Is this your business? Like, what are you catering? Are you a restaurant? What the hell? What is all this?
No, I don't have any brick and mortar. Claude's Barbecue, I used to cater and do quite a bit of stuff. And I just, I couldn't at that time support myself doing it. So it kind of became a hobby thing. I have sauces and rubs. I just never figured out how to market it. The most I've done as far as actually getting behind something and trying to find out, the government sucks, to try and find out what I legitimately have to do this other than Twitter. Cause I only give it to friends on Twitter, and everybody's a friend on Twitter. But I have had it all tested. I know what pH value is. I know what water activity is. I know the nutritional value of all this stuff, and just jumping through all these hoops. And then trying to find a manufacturer or a co-packer, because I just don't have the ability. I mean, I cook this stuff at home. So each bottle's hand filled by me.
Okay, well, no, that's that. So I'm talking more about the food that you're always.
Oh, food.
Yeah. Because I get the hot sauce. I get that. I understand. Like any type of liquid, you're going to deal with all sorts of fucking regulations because of, you want to.
Then with barbecue, no. Once I couldn't support myself, man, it became a hobby. And then I just do things like I do Farmageddon. I got a friend's wedding coming up after Farmageddon that I'll do. So I'll do a few events a year, but mainly I cook for family and friends, bro.
Every day that much food?
Not every day that much food. You guys are getting photos, but it's not every day that much food. Sometimes that food's cooked and I'm thinking of another meal I'm going to turn it into sometime later that week. I just had time to cook it. But my kid, he's been coming over 3-4 times a week, saving on that grocery bill.
I don't blame him. If I lived there, I'd be coming over too, man. Like you cook some really good looking stuff. Like and you're also actually pretty helpful. Like I remember, like you do a lot of stuff from scratch. Like I remember I tried to do that. I was like, I'm gonna try biscuits finally, because I'd never cooked that shit. Right? Like I love to cook. I love to look up new recipes. I'll get something that pops in my head, or I'll see something on TV and I'll go look it up and I want to try and recreate it. But some of like the really basics and the staples, like I was never taught that stuff growing up, right? Or so I don't know it. So that's why I was like, man, I like biscuits. Claude just posted some biscuits. I'm gonna try this shit. And I asked you the recipe for it. I totally fucked that up. But they were good. They just didn't look good.
The key to the good biscuit, man, is I use frozen butter.
Yeah, I did that.
My buttermilk is ice cold, and you use extra baking powder more than you think. If you're following another recipe, and it says a teaspoon and a half, use 2.5 teaspoons.
That's me with every recipe in garlic. So whatever it says, I'm like, I triple it. I just.
Yeah, a lot of the stuff, man. When I started cooking, I moved out when I was 17 from my parents' house. So my first job was Taco Bell. I mean, my first year, I had 12 jobs in 12 months. That was back in the day.
Nice. I was going to say, you were at Taco Bell when it was real food still, right?
Yeah, I had no problem saying, oh, okay, I had a job. I'll have a job before I get home. And I'd go somewhere else and, you look somebody in the eye, shake your hand, go to work.
Yeah.
That's how it worked. So I started in the restaurant industry I was in and out of it for almost 20 years. I mean, that's just something you could do when I was off in the other subcultures that I lived in for a while. You could always be a server or a line cook.
Yeah, no, that's true. So, I mean, so is cooking just something you gravitated towards, or it was just an easy job to get and then you kind of found a passion for it?
I was just good at it.
Yeah.
When I first started, I mean, the pressure of short order cook, like doing a Waffle House or stuff, I have no problem. Same with being a server. I could run a whole dining room. I was just pretty good at it. I was quick, fast. I talked a lot, and I can get shit done. So I was good at it. It was easy, and I got paid pretty well to do it. So
yeah, that's the thing. Like, so, I mean, talent, whatever it is, doesn't matter whether it's cooking or whatever industry you find yourself in. If you're talented, you're going to get compensated, right? There's a way to make money.
Well, the biggest thing is just be willing to work, man.
Yeah,
that's the number one thing. Be willing to work and work hard. It don't matter what it's at.
Right. Find a job and be good at it, and
that'll get you somewhere. Then I started barbecuing as far as smoking meats, man, and competing quite a bit. And that I developed a love for that, because everybody does barbecue. I could give you my recipe, but it's not going to turn out like mine.
No, exactly. Right. Recipes are just guidelines, right? It's like
barbecue's the one, or smoking meat's the one thing where everybody's stuff is going to turn out a little bit different. No matter if you follow the same rules or what, it'll all turn out a little bit different.
And that's just based off of the technique, the size of what you're cooking, all those
things. Technique, size of what you're cooking. Not everybody, even if I give you my rub stuff, you won't put the same amount of rub on it. Your stall might be different. And that's why, I mean, except for hard pass and his Traeger with Wi-Fi updates, I had to get that in there. Sorry. I had to get that in there.
That shit blows my mind, man. Like, I couldn't believe that was real.
Yeah. On Thanksgiving, what I call easy bake ovens for grown men, which I don't do. It's called Pitmaster for a reason. I mean, although I say my pit works the shit out of me sometimes, because I'm out there every 20 minutes. I can't, I'm on a 16-hour cook, then I'm out there every 20 minutes of that 16-hour cook.
So real quick to back up, like, so the backstory of what he just mentioned, there is someone, a mutual account, who has a Traeger grill with Wi-Fi. Because apparently this is not just like, I walked through Home Depot and it was Home Depot a couple months back, and I was like, oh shit, that is a real thing. Like, there are grills with Wi-Fi capability. And what does everything
high dollar grill?
Yeah, and what does everything with Wi-Fi capability mean? It means it has software in it, and it's going to need updates. And so our friend, you said it was Thanksgiving when it happened, right? Was he going to fry a turkey or some shit, or whatever the hell he was doing?
He was doing. I think he was smoking his turkey. Or wanting to smoke his turkey. I don't know if it ever got on there or not. It was interrupted by a Wi-Fi update.
And how bad of a company must be like, you know what? I don't know what day it is, but we're going to push this mandatory upgrade on Thanksgiving.
I'm just surprised he's the only one that. Well, I guess he was the only one brave enough to put it out there on.
Yeah, I give him credit for that, right? Because I mean, you can't do anything but laugh at it and own it. But it's like, I think about that like, that's not just a grill thing, man. I think about that, especially just with what I do now and just what I see, and how there's so much like push to get everything into cloud and to get as much like no more wire, like everything's cloud based, right? Like everything, like this to me, like there's going to be a modern day version, I think, of the Library of Alexandria, right? Where the fucking thing just burns down, all the books are gone. I really think that that's a very real possibility, that someone's going to be able to fucking make all that shit just disappear.
Oh, I'm sure.
Or unaccessible, right? And then we're just like, oh fuck. Well, we got to start this shit over. Right?
Exactly.
We got to get back to books. And
the whole electronic thing is, I mean, our lives are getting easier, but it's also making shit stupider. If that makes sense. Stupid is not a word. 100%. But you know what I mean?
I see this all the time. Like, anything and everything I want in human history is right here at a push. Like, within 5 seconds of a page loading, I can have whatever it is I want, or learn whatever I want, or go on YouTube and watch a video on how to fucking cook anything I want. Like, and yet that's not really making us smarter.
Well, in your house, Alexa, turn on my lights. I mean, that's a cool thing to do, but I
refuse. I'm holding out forever. I'm never going to.
I used to be my dad's remote. Hey, get up and change that channel.
Same.
Oh,
I'm old enough to have done that.
Go outside and hand crank that satellite dish to marks we made on the pole. So
you remember the satellite dish that was like the size of a fucking table, right? Like,
yeah, I had to go out there and crank it with 2 hands to change satellites.
We were one of the first people I remember in our neighborhood to have that big ass fucking satellite dish, and it never worked. Like it never, like it was always searching for something.
When you're the kid, such a good idea. You're looking at the bad channels through the
yeah. It's like through the fuzz. I literally remember my brother and I staying up to watch the Mike Tyson and who was the guy that knocked him out? Buster Douglas. When Buster Douglas, we stayed. Frank, bro. The claws, man. And we stayed up to what exactly like any pay-per-view event was on like HBO pay-per-view and you had to buy it, whatever. When my parents definitely weren't buying anything, but you could go to the channel and watch through like the little scrambled waves. Exactly. And we watched that fight. I remember it was so crazy. Like, because that boxing back then was fucking huge, right? So anything, we were always trying to just peek through.
Well, that's when boxing was boxing too.
That's also true. Yeah. Like that. It's crazy to see what boxing turned into and how, I think there's still a huge appetite for, combat sports, but it's MMA right now. It's the UFC. Exactly. It's that, right? And you think about the evolution of the UFC, which wasn't that far removed, I think, because I think that Tyson fight was either 1990. I think the UFC started in what, like 96, 97.
I remember when they were fighting out of country because they couldn't legally.
Yeah, they couldn't legally get to do it.
Yeah, they couldn't
Pride
legally.
Was a big thing.
Yeah, couldn't legally fight in the United States.
Yeah, but it was weird how it started because it was like a tournament. Like everyone, you fought if you won, you advanced, and you kept fighting that same day and night. Like there was no, hey, it's a 5-round championship fight or it's 3 rounds. No, like this is, you win, you get the prize of going and continuing to fight. And it was like no weight classes. It was just
it was warrior mentality. It was warrior mentality, man. Put up or shut up for sure.
It was that dude. I remember he was some karate guy and he fought like this huge dude and he just went up to him and did like this overhand like chop into the dude's like nose and shattered his nose and knocked this like 400-pound dude out. It was hilarious. Stuff like that. You don't really see things like that anymore, but it was crazy to kind of see that kick-started, I guess, a different culture in terms of the fight world, right? Because it brought all these other martial arts that other countries had always been doing more into the mainstream, but also made them way more popular in the United States, like, Brazilian jiu-jitsu. And
well, it's done a lot for fitness and stuff. For a lot of kids, are going there instead of other places as far as for training. And
it'll always be a way out for people, which is good. Like, I mean, that's, people, especially in our circle, they give, sports a lot of shit, I think, because they don't like the leagues, and that's fine. You don't have to like the fucking leagues or what they peddle and all, but there's still a huge outlet and for positivity, right? For positive purposes. And there's still a way out of situations that most people would get out of,
I would say at least 80% of the kids, male, female, that play sports, especially multi-sport players in high school, college, are more well-rounded. I don't know, respectful. They understand teamwork. I mean, it definitely is a positive in your development.
Yeah, where else are you going to learn that if not through sports?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, one of the things. Are you familiar with Jason Whitlock?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
He's a local boy from Kansas City.
That's right. Yeah.
Before he went national. Yep.
Well, yeah. Well, but he makes a great point, and like people don't think about this all the time because football, especially within the last, I would say probably 5 to 7 years, it really kind of came under attack for like, concussions and the brain injuries and all, and there's legitimacy to wondering and trying to make it safer. I got that, but there were actual real cause. People can go look this up. Like we need to just flat out ban football.
Yeah, that was
what he talks about. He's like, the only reason he is who he is today was because he played football and was able to go to a small college and play football. He's like, that's what gets most Black Americans into college as athletes, is the ability to go play football in college. And yeah, they may not make it to the NFL. That's fine. But you're still getting a college education, right?
Well, that's huge, you're still learning other things.
Right. But sports, especially in those communities, a lot of times they're one of the main reasons or ways they're going to get to college, at least. And at the end of the day, that's the other thing. People are just assuming, and I was one of these people, like, I was like, oh, I get to go to college and play baseball. I'm definitely going to be a pro. No, you find out real quickly, college isn't high school. And then, to get to the next level, that's even another level of ability that most people obviously don't have. But I didn't fully take advantage of that situation. Right. And I learned a few years later the hard way and went back and obviously took care of my education. But I think so many people, they think just because they get to college to play a sport, that's like a guarantee you don't have to take education seriously. And that happens to a lot of us. Right. But it is still a vehicle to success, because there's not a lot that you can still do in this country in the white collar world with a high school diploma, right? And that's what people want, because everyone thinks they're going to graduate college and come out to a 6-figure job that's waiting for them.
Well, and that's why I'm a big fan of trades, and we were sold a bill of goods that everyone had to go to college.
And that's why we're at
this. That's why we're at this loan forgiveness.
Yeah.
They just allowed tuition's gone up on up. If they want to do something like that, set tuitions at state schools or something like that. But anyways, they peddled everyone needs to go to college. I got a lot of friends that are pushing 6 figures that are plumbers, electricians,
you get
welders.
Especially if you have your own business, right? You make as much as you really want to work and create your. This just from your food. It's the same type, right? If you want to work and be good at anything, you can do pretty well.
Well, and also you get into unions in the trades, man. I'm not against unions. As a union, I'm against union politics.
Exactly.
But I know 100%. A lot of people in the trades, and they don't agree with their unions either. But to make the money they make, it's all,
Oh, dude, so years ago, like I worked for the Postal Service for a while at one point, and you kind of have to. It's like it's not really an option. It's like you're joining the union, right? And then you deal with all the other stuff that comes with that. Now, granted, there's things like you said, like there is some really good benefits to a union. I got it. It's just the politics side.
Oh yeah, politics.
And you get no say into that stuff. That's what sucks about it, man. It's like, okay, if I don't agree with this, then what?
Yeah, can I not pay my dues?
Yeah, no, you can't. No, actually, you have to. Yeah.
Can I direct where I want my dues to go?
Right? Can I split like 50% here? No. Yeah. So that's weird. But no, because it goes back to what you're saying, the ability of like when you first got your first job, like you were just willing to work, right? You're just willing to work hard. And I think that's one of the biggest things that this, especially this generation. I don't know how you mentioned your kid. I don't know how old they are. I mean, my daughter's 17, and she's a great kid. Gotten better definitely with the work side of things in school, but overall, I've been trying to get her to go get a job or whatever. And the struggle with her mom is like, why does she need a job? Her job is to get good grades in school. I'm like, okay, you can do both. Like, you need to learn the responsibility. You need to learn the value of the dollar. You need to learn that money just doesn't appear in your account on a screen because someone transferred it to you. Like, you have to learn those skills. And I hate that it's my own daughter experiencing that at times, because I want her to experience what you and I just talked about, right? Like the working hard. Like, yeah, great. I'm glad you went to school. Guess what? Now you got to go work for 4 hours each day, right? Yeah, now you're going to come home at 10 o'clock at the end of your shift and you're going to be tired. Like, yeah, that's what I'm trying to get you to understand, because once you are no longer doing the school side of things, work really takes precedent, and you're going to have to work in whatever it is. I don't care what it is you end up doing and working at, but it has to be hard. You can't just be like, oh, well, it's been 8 hours.
Exactly.
And you can do that, but you're going to have a very low ceiling of what you're expected to do with yourself.
Exactly. And the sooner you learn it, I've noticed a lack of, my kid's going to be 28.
Okay.
And there's a lack of motivation there. I mean, he's comfortable where he's at right now.
Yeah.
Would I like more for him? Yeah. But at 28, man,
it is what it is, right?
It is what it is.
He'll have to find that on his own.
Exactly.
So where do you think, like, because you would know, you know definitely better than me, like you're a little older, so you've got a little more experience in seeing this stuff, but where do you think the pressure and just the push to college came about, or why? Because I know we had the GI Bill and all after World War II, and that created basically the middle class, right? And so you had so many people going to college then for the first time. But
I think a large part of it is it's a money business.
Oh yeah.
When the government got involved, the government took over student loans. I forget what year that was, but when they took over student loans, that's when I think the push began, that everybody needs a college degree. I mean, you can't do anything without a college degree. And then once they started adding all these majors that aren't majors, I mean, when are you going to use even archaeologically, whatever, I can't even say the fucking
archaeology
word. Yeah. Whatever that of Eastern India. Something about it. Unless you're a teacher, what are you gonna? How are you gonna use that? Or gender studies?
Yeah, and then that's the other thing though. Like, okay, if you become a teacher, unfortunately, that's just not a very high-paying position, unless you somehow find yourself in academia and you end up tenured professor or whatever. But yeah, you're right. Like, what are you expecting? And maybe that's the other thing, is like the expectations are not realistic.
Well, and the problem with teachers nowadays is I think teachers should get paid more. The teachers that did the stuff back when I was in school, back when you can paddle an ass in the hallway.
I used to. My parents used to ask for that permission slip. I remember paddling.
If you act up, so there was learning going on in our school. They should get paid more, but I mean, again, it goes with like adding gender studies. Even in the lower grades, they start laxing standards. They start adding in stuff. Like my kid, I remember high school, when he was in high school, he came back and said they started American history, and it was started at the American Revolution. I'm like, that's when you started American history in high school? There's a fuck ton of shit that happened before that actually matters probably more than what happened after the Civil War. I mean, when the formation of the country, sacrifices and what they did, I was just shocked. I mean, the standards and all the standardized testing was an issue. Hell, I never went to college. I had a fucking school of hard knocks. I moved out at 17, and everything I learned from making mistakes. That's why I was going to do tell me what your problem is, I'll tell you why it's your fault type deal on Twitter every now and then. I just respond back. They tell me what their problem is. I tell them why it's their fault. How do I know? Because everything I did in my life was my fault. It was my decisions, my choices. I don't see how you can place blame on anybody else, because there is an option. Might not have been the option you wanted, might not have been the easiest option, like all these people, I can't up and move. Well, actually you can. But you just don't want to. There's a lot of doubt, a lot of insecurity or uncertainty.
It's change. People don't want change. It's fear of change.
It is possible to do it. It's just not an option that you wanted to do. So you can't tell me something that you're upset with that I can't tell you how there's a reason you can blame yourself.
Yeah, you got to do that more, man. You got to live stream that. That'd be good. That'd be good to watch. Put that on YouTube or something. That'd be good. That's cool. I've never seen you do that, but that's funny. Because I think that's good.
I'll do another one on Twitter soon. I've done it once.
Do a space. Do a space on Twitter or something with that. That'd be good.
Oh, I just do one-liners. I give one-liners back, man. I keep it at Twitter intellectual level.
Well, that's a very low bar, my friend. Yeah.
Oh, there's experts everywhere.
Oh, that is actually true. That is one thing. I think that is one of the biggest perks of Twitter, is that no matter what is going on in the world, there will be a plethora of experts ready to tell you exactly what it is you need to know, don't know, and why you're a fucking idiot at the same time.
There's a whole hell of a lot of smart ass people on Twitter, especially in our corner. That's why I'm glad just to be hanging on the outskirts, man. I've learned and am continuing to learn so much, but they're not the ones that are telling you they're experts.
Exactly.
But they are. If anybody tweets with a PhD behind their name, I automatically assume it's going to be one of the dumbest tweets I read today. I mean, I swear to God, it's like Biden having to be called Dr. Biden. Yeah, give me a break.
I mean, yeah. I mean, you are. Congratulations, you earned a PhD. I get the title that goes with it. However,
exactly. Well, and you could do if I had the skills to do those thread tweets where you capture them, I could go back through and put together ones that you would just look at and go, "You actually were given a PhD." I mean, I'm a high leveling function idiot, and I could put together a tweet better than that one come. Well, and they're all robo tweets too. They all say the copy and pasters. They all say the same
That's such
thing.
a weird thing, isn't it, man? Like
it is, and it's not all just political. It's I thought he was going to get rid of the bots, but it is a strange.
I mean, I hope he does, but I just don't. I don't know how. I don't know if you could. At this point.
I don't see how you do it.
How do you regulate that? I mean, like outside of just making everyone pay to just have any type of account. I mean, but then you severely limit who you.
Then, exactly.
So I get like the idea behind it and all, but yeah, like, man, when you read about this, like, God, what was that story I read recently? It was about like the bot farms in fucking Russia and all, and like that is crazy to me. Like,
it's just rows and rows of phones stacked 3 high, all tweeting.
That's just so like the fact that someone was like, we need to do this. Like, it's just such a weird fucking way to spend your time.
It is, and think of the money involved. Yeah. But most that's companies, governments. Don't think our government don't have a phone.
Of course. Like, at the end of the day, like, look, if that's the way the game's going to be played, we better be pretty fucking good at it ourselves. That's all I'm going to say on that. Like, we need to be the best at whatever game's getting played. That's my rule when it comes to my country. I don't, at the end of the day, I'm a ridiculously patriotic, and I just want to be better at everything than everybody else. Right. I'm watching the World Baseball Classic stuff going on right now. We'd better fucking win that. Like, we need to win anything where the USA is on display. That's my rule. Right.
Exactly.
But you know what it reminds me of? Like those farms, like, I don't know if you probably do. You remember Napster?
Yes.
Okay. So when I was a freshman in college, where I was
the original music thing.
Yeah. When I was failing epically at the actual school part, because I was pretending I was going to be a pro baseball player. I just remember one of the things, the RA on our floor, there was this program that you could make up to $25 a month if you just ran this program and scrolled these ads, right? So they developed a program, like if you scrolled it by yourself, you'd have to literally sit there and scroll X amount of hours to get up to $25, right? They developed this program that made your mouse consistently move across the screen to make it look like you were there. And I remember he showed all of us on the floor, like he called a meeting. He's like, you guys want to make $25 a month? And we're all like, fuck yeah, $25. That's beer, whatever. And we all installed this program, and we'd go to class. Well, I would go to sleep, but most people would go to class, and they'd run this program. And I'd wake up and see this mouse moving, and I would see my dollar amount clicking up because of how much time I've spent on the screen. I'm like, that just reminds me, like, when I look back on that, I'm like, how stupid it was that. But it's led to these fucking, like, that's the same type of person who came up with that ability. That's what they're doing now. They're making bot farms to push out replicas of fucking tweets.
Yeah. Well, I didn't have, I'm old enough that I had the penny, the records for a penny.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know how many times my parents got mad because I filled it out, sent it in. It's one free.
Yeah. What was that?
BMG,
Capital.
Yeah, all of them for a cent except for this, and then all of a sudden,
I did that shit too. Yeah, that's how that's honestly, that's how I found a band called Korn in 8th grade in 1994, because Columbia House wasn't that one of them?
Yes, Columbia House.
Yeah,
Columbia
them
House
and
Records.
like BMG or something. Like, yeah, I was like, I filled that out, and they said, and I filled like some box that said, we'll send CDs that are similar to whatever and they sent me a Korn, and I was like, the fuck is Korn? And all of a sudden, like within 2 years, they were like one of the biggest bands in the country. I was like, holy shit. But I found them first on Columbia House.
You getting royalties?
Not at all, but I have a bit of like middle school pride to be like, I knew about those guys first, right? Now, that's also what's weird. Is like those guys are still around, like they're still making albums and touring, and I kind of thought, like for their style, they had a very, a very shallow. Like there's not a lot of places you can take, you know, abused singer as a child, and all of my albums are going to be about my experiences, right? Like, how do you do that 40 years into your career almost? It's like they're still making music.
There's a lot of bands that should have stopped making music a long time ago.
Like Metallica, which I make no shy remarks about with the stuff.
Rolling Stones.
But they don't make new music though. They just continue to perform.
But they can't perform anymore. They look like a bunch of old ladies. It looks like a fucking lobby at a senior living facility. And I'm old. I remember the last time I saw Ozzy Osbourne in concert. Fuck, that was years and years ago. He looked like an old lady running around.
Oh yeah, Ozzy's got. He's.
I mean, his voice didn't crack once, but physically he looked like an old lady running around on stage out there. It was insane.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know what's weird about Ozzy is like, I was never 100% into Ozzy Osbourne. I was never into Black Sabbath. I respect what they did for, you know, new British wave of heavy metal. Because, you know, my favorite band of all time is Iron Maiden, which obviously wouldn't exist without bands like Deep Purple and Black Sabbath and all that. I get that. I respect that. But I was always more into like when Ozzy went solo artist, you know, he always had incredible guitarists. So I was into the guitarists, like, you know, Crazy Train, Zakk Wylde, like those, the guys who did those, like, yeah, Ozzy has an iconic voice, but his, like, people confuse it, like, oh, Ozzy's playing that music. Like, no, he's not. He's a fucking singer.
Yeah, that's right? All he is.
He's a fucking singer.
He doesn't play an instrument.
He doesn't play the fucking music. And that's what I always didn't like about that, because like
he gets high and sings a song.
Yeah, I mean, because once I got into guitar in my freshman year of high school, like mid '90s, like I started learning more, and I was like, "What the fuck? He doesn't play the music?" So you don't know that shit when you're a kid. You're just an idiot. You just like the songs. But yeah, so I always respected like the guitarists that went into that, because yeah, that like. No matter what Ozzy does, he's always going to have like some young guitar player, right? It's not going to be like 70. Like when I go to Iron Maiden, I just took my daughter to an Iron Maiden concert in Chicago back in September. Like those guys are all in their 60s and they still move around and they perform really well. But it's like, I tell her, I'm like, you got to remember, like they still put on an incredible show, but you missed their prime, right? And even like those guys came out before I was born. I'm like, I would have loved to see them at the height of their popularity in the 80s and early 90s, right? I never got to see that, but they're still selling out fucking arenas and shows everywhere. So it's still pretty cool, but it's not like, it's not quite them, you know? So, but.
Remind me again how old I am. Fuck. He just said I wasn't even born yet in the 80s.
Well, no, I was born in 1980, but Iron Maiden came out, you know, they formed in 75. Their first album.
Okay, I know that. I'm just saying I heard. Fuck, I graduated high school in the 80s.
Nice. There you go. So what do you like? This is a thing this is a question I want to, I'm curious. Cause again, you got the experience and you've seen a lot of this stuff that I just wasn't old enough to either see or realize, but where do you, cause this is one of my biggest issues I have with our country now. It's our culture, right? It's what we push out as mainstream and what's
acceptable.
Right. And what we force people to consume. Right. And culturally, I have no problems with any styles of artistic expression, from music to whatever. It's
1995.
Why 95?
The birth of the internet.
But why did that make culture get so fucking?
Because anything and everything was available instantly. Let's say a kid or a person that had a certain possible niche or a thought. We're human. We all have a bunch of shit going through our head. Who are around helps develop where those thoughts and stuff go. Before that, you had a lot of human interaction, family, friends, church, whatever, work, jobs. Now there's a lot of people, starting with the internet. Parents give their kids a tablet.
Yeah.
This started it right away. I mean, as soon as the internet came out, it really started to grow. Hell, AOL Messenger.
Yeah. I still remember my first screen name.
Yes,
so
AOL Messenger. Anyways, with all that information at your fingertips, a kid that had a certain thought finds a chat group, because there were chat rooms and chat groups and all that stuff way before Twitter, and they find a group of people who think just like them, and then that's all they consume, is that what they were thinking about or feeling. So it becomes their norm, and then they move on and help pass that on to something else. So somebody, let's say some kid, I don't know what to take as an example without it being extreme.
We'll go extreme. Fuck it. It is what it is. You know.
All right. Well, we'll say problem with pedophiles and sex trafficking. Those people get in a chat room and they just build on each other and build on. It's kind of like any extremist group, any whatever.
Yeah.
If you surround yourself, that's what you're going to end up acting on, acting out. I think a pedophile is a pedophile. They're not people. They don't deserve.
It's kind of like it's a term we've always used in the military, but a force multiplier, right? Whatever makes it makes whatever your desires and your inclination stronger and more likely to act out on them. Right?
Yeah, and they do that with, and that's happened with everything, and pushing as far as acceptance of what we have to accept, what we have to agree with. I've always been a person, if you do you, I'll do me. I'll leave you the fuck alone. As long as it's not breaking a law or endangering somebody's life, I'll let you know what I'm not okay with.
Yeah.
What you will not do around me. I'll set boundaries. And if it's someplace that I'm not allowed to set boundaries because it's, you know what I mean, it's not my area, my property, my whatever, then I'll remove myself if it's something that I'm not okay with. You can't really do that anymore on the internet as far as your kids and what, I mean, you can, parents should get more involved. I think I'm getting off on a tangent here.
No, the tangents are great. That's the whole part of the show. It's usually me on it with this fucking bourbon, but you're sober, so you don't really have a.
Yeah, I'm on my second Dr. Pepper.
The hell yeah, Dr. Pepper, let's go. Kay was on last night.
But I do believe, back to the main point, I believe it's the invention of the internet. I personally believe it's the best thing and the worst thing to ever happen to society.
But why did it go like with culture and what I was trying to get at? Why? Because I agree with what you're saying, but why did we allow it to go that direction instead of, you know, I mean, think about if we forced only the best of the best musically from any genre. It doesn't matter what genre, but like we've pushed the lowest fucking common denominator. Like Wet Ass Pussy, like that's the songs that we put in the mainstream. Like you could make that song, fine, I got it. Like that could be a fucking B-side to anything. Like don't get me wrong, music has always had some dark shit or some weird shit to it. But why did that cross over to like this is going to be your pop now? This is the mainstream. Everything else, fucking no, it sucks. You don't get to hear that stuff. You have to go search for it. We've made it the opposite. We've pushed the lowest form of talent rather than the best.
Well, the leftists, or I won't say leftists, I'll say the progressives is a better word, have been playing the long game. They've been playing the game since, I mean, they've been playing the game 50 years. Yeah, easy. And they've completely overtaken academia, television, newspapers. There's not, and even Fox and stuff like that. There's not really one major mainstream, and you can include Fox and all that in there now, that is unbiased. There's not.
Right.
You can't name one.
It's all entertainment. It's all entertainment. For whatever you want, you're going to find entertainment in, and that's it.
Yeah, there's not one newspaper that doesn't go with sensational headlines.
Yeah.
There's not one newspaper that where you'll find unbiased might be in the opinion section when you get two sides.
Yeah,
given their opinion.
Right. Yeah, and who's reading?
But other than that, man, it's just, and local papers don't even really have their own reporters anymore. They all just post snippets of AP. AP. And that's our problem. That's what I think internet did. It made us be able to connect with people far away, but it also took away connections. And that goes with the phone, because the internet goes to the phone. electronics that make our life easier. They take away the close personal interaction, which are needed. I mean, I'll play PlayStation and talk to buddies all the time, but that's not the same as going to the range with the buddies. You know what I mean? That emotional.
Well, and that was something I was having this conversation. Like I was talking with Kay about this last night, because different generation. Like you're a little older. I'm probably almost twice her age. And she's in college now, writing a paper on essentially remote work and its future. Right. And I'm trying to get her to understand, like, while she's okay with being constantly on Zoom or all these things, I'm like, yeah, that's great. That's not a way to run a fucking business or a real team or anything. Like, at some point you have to come together physically, and that's how you build teams. And then, what this has kind of created, especially with cities, is you're removing that economy of what happens when people are physically working somewhere, right? Like, if everyone's a fucking remote worker, then why would a company continue to pay rent on a downtown fucking facility or a structure or a building or whatever? And then when those people aren't there in the office, then there's no
New York
economy.
Markets.
Yeah, there's no local economy to support them, because you took all that revenue out, because they're not spending money at lunch, they're not going to happy hours afterwards, they're not going to dinners, they're not going into the city for whatever. Like, there's gonna be real ripple effects that are coming because of this. Again, the advancement in technology. It's great, it's convenient. You and I get to have this fucking Zoom call and put it up on the internet later, but there's other things that come from this that are, the negatives. And I don't think people have considered them or really witnessed and seen them yet.
No, I think, again, a large part is the lack of human interaction. It's like the mask thing. I think that's a problem for kids. They couldn't read facial expressions. They couldn't, they learn a lot from, you can tell when somebody's mad, somebody's happy, somebody, hey, they kind of like me. That's how you develop your interpersonal relationships is, facial expressions, interaction, how somebody acts around you. That's how they learn how to act. You can't learn that shit over the internet.
You can't, right? Exactly. And that's what I think. And, again, it is generational for sure. It totally is. Like, I would say, my generation was probably the first one to grow up with video games, telephones, internet, cell phones, and to where we're at now, right? Whereas you grew up with literally having to just, if you wanted to entertain yourself, you had to physically fucking do it. Go outside, read actual books, do all that shit. And then you came into technology older into your adult life, right? And you've learned how to obviously use it, and you do it well. But yeah, that's very different, because my daughter being 17, like, she's always had, like you talked about, she's always had a fucking iPad. She's been texting me since she was 8 years old. I got her an iPad specifically when I went to Afghanistan in 2013 so she could text me. But because that was when I went to Iraq, we still had to sit in fucking phone lines and write letters. And then 10 years later, I'm giving my daughter a fucking iPad so she can text me in a fucking combat zone. Like, that's the evolution of all of it has happened so quickly. And it's fucking weird, man.
It is weird. And there's a lot more to go. You want to know another issue is we've become the product. Now, people
AI
have always,
and all that shit coming.
Yeah. Well, people have always gone to somebody for their product, the physical product.
Yeah.
Well, our data has become the physical product. I hate all that stuff, but I carry right here that tracks anything and everything.
Yeah.
And they sell that shit to companies, to marketers, that we've become.
Do you know how many bourbon ads I see a day?
But you know what I mean? We've become the data.
Yeah.
Because we're valuable to a company that wants that information.
Right.
Travel habits, how often you stop and get gas. I mean, the Google, if you have it on your phone, it will tell you where you've been. Unless you turn it off, it'll tell you where you've been and show you, draw you on the map.
Weird. Once I saw that for the first time pop up, I was like, yeah, I got to figure out how to turn all of that shit off.
Yeah, that's the first thing I do is go in and I'm shutting all types of shit down.
Like, I don't need to be reminded.
Somebody tells me to download an app, and I'm like, okay, I'll download it. I download it, and then I read which you should, I guess you shouldn't do, but I do. I read the access stuff and I'm like, why the fuck does it need access to this? No,
Yeah.
you can't download the app then. Okay, then I don't need it. I don't I don't know why a measuring tool or a calculator needs access to my email.
Yeah, that's fucking weird, ain't it? That's fucking weird. It is some weird shit, but there's a part of me, like I said, it goes back to the cloud, right? Everything's getting stored up there, or put there, or being moved there, or migrating there, whatever fucking words they want to use lately. But I really feel like there's gonna come a time, and everyone talks about electronic magnetic pulse weapons, and they're romanticized in movies like Ocean's 11 or whatever. That's a very real possibility. It's real, but not so much that in terms of frying like electronics. I'm just more concerned with if you have to pay someone to put something somewhere, that means it can be compromised.
Oh,
like at its 100%. Core, like at its core, that's exactly what it means.
Well,
if there's a gatekeeper,
and we're shown that every day by a company that's data's been breached.
Yeah.
Whether it's a hospital,
emails do you, or how many times you sign on like, this was a data spill, you need to change your I don't even pay attention to that shit anymore. So I'm like, yeah, what the fuck? Who cares?
Yeah, somebody wants my debt, they can have it.
Yeah, right. Or might get forgiven.
You want to assume my life, you get the whole life.
Yeah. Mike. Yeah.
You get everything.
It's but it's like you said, it's happened so quickly, but there's more to come, like you said, and I think that's kind of
those who control the information control the world.
Yeah. Well, I mean, wasn't that like the basis of fucking Cyberdyne and the Terminator movies? It's like
well, I think that AI. I personally think we shouldn't be effing with AI.
I don't even know. It's scary, man. That and robots.
Yeah. Well,
that we're putting the AI into, like that. Yeah. Man, some of the shit that I see is just like, is that what we really didn't learn from Terminator? Like,
yeah, well, I'm old. I'll be dead not too long anyways. Hopefully shit don't pop off. Well, it either pops off before I'm too old or after I'm too old.
Yeah. Well, I don't want it to pop off after I'm too old because I want to at least be able to fucking somewhat determine my own outcome, right? You don't want to be left at you don't want to be helpless in a fucking shitty situation. That's my point.
No, I just want to be able to take care of the youngest of the family, the ones that I work, the only ones I really worry about most. The older you get, the less fucks you have to get.
Well, that's true. I have a dad, so
it is totally true. I didn't believe it. The older you get, the smarter your parents get too. That's another cliche, but it's true. I don't know. It is weird, man. I've seen development of all the technology shit. I lived in multiple subcultures in the world. Like I said.
Yeah. What does that mean? Tell us what subculture where you want. Is that something you're?
Why I say tell me what your problem is. I'll tell you why it's your fault. I said I moved out at 17.
Yeah.
A shit ton of bad choices from there until about July 1st, 2004 is when I truly got my shit together and became a productive member of society. But from about 17 till, I don't know, 30, 31, something like that, I've lived in multiple subcultures. It's just, I don't know how much I want to really truly give away.
No, I get it.
I've lived in a house where you could see through the walls. And I had to go get water from a park that was a block and a half away. I have one of those heat showers that you hang outside in the sun. Of course, this is Arizona.
Oh, we did that in Iraq. That's great. Those are fun when you have no choice, but
they
not
actually
when you
work.
Yeah, they do.
I had an extension cord run over a fence to my Mexican neighbors, and I paid them so much a month to have electricity. So I've lived in multiple different subcultures, shall I say. So I know a little bit more than a lot of people as far as
resourceful at the end of the day. Like, because I mean, you maybe you look back on it and you say you weren't a productive member of society. Got it. But like, you know,
Oh,
in a way you were learning skills. So,
well, yeah, I was a productive member of society. It was just a alternate society.
Yeah, alternate society.
I was moving quite a bit of money in that alternate society. I mean, you might have been able to see through the walls, but I had some of the first video camera security monitors on that house.
It's always resourcefulness, right? That's always what wins the day, no matter what world you find you're in. You have to adapt and overcome, right?
Yeah. Well, that's my dad would tell me, you know, Marine, or before he, oh God, I just got lost there for a second. I just remembered he's dead. Sorry.
No worries.
I say it that way, and then I just realized that. Yeah, Marine, man. I was born on Paris Island, so.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I grew up on crowns.
Yeah, I was gonna say, man, you grew up eating fucking crowns, poor kid. Yeah,
I did.
So was he? What era was he in the Marine? Was he Vietnam?
Vietnam. He went 2 tours of Vietnam. Got out in '77 after my little brother was born. Yeah.
Cool. So did he join or was he drafted?
No, he joined 16. He joined?
Okay. Yeah, because they did away with the draft in what, 73?
Yeah, him and his brother, my uncle, both joined. My uncle was a tunnel rat.
Oh, that's fucking nuts, man. Those
he's a short.
And that Vietnam era for everything was just, those guys were fucking nuts, man.
Yeah. Well, and the military sent them home to live with kids and stuff without
nothing
even talking about PTSD.
Yeah.
Now that I know about PTSD and my dad started getting treated for it later in his life, my childhood made more sense.
Yeah.
You know, I understand why my dad had maybe 15 jobs when I was growing up.
Yeah. It was the same with me, man. My fucking dad was a corrections guard. I don't know why dad was mad all the fucking time. And then you realize, like you say, your parents get smarter. The more you talk, you're like, man, you guy like literally had to fight for his entire life every day at work.
Exactly. When you start to comprehend, you know, everything that goes involved, that's a cliches, man, are cliches for a reason. Youth is wasted on the young. And that's the truth, man. Your brain gets smarter and your body just says, well, we're old. We're old. You can't use all that knowledge the way you want to.
I know that's a shitty part, man. So wait, you said your your uncle was a fucking tunnel rat, or?
My uncle was a tunnel rat. My dad just a baby bullet stopper, he would say.
Did he tell you anything at all? Did he talk about anything, or kind of kept to himself about it?
He kept to himself. I read his Bronze Star accommodation and his Purple Hearts accommodation, but yeah, he didn't talk about it, man. Neither does my uncle, or they're quiet. Yeah. My friends, when growing up, used to freak out if he was loud, screaming. I'm like, bro, if he's hollering, if he's even throwing some stuff, you're safe.
It's fairly, that's okay. It's normal.
If it goes quiet, you better run. And you better run fast, because when it goes quiet, that's when shit was about to pop off. Yeah. But no, he kept quiet. A lot of the guys I know from back then, they just didn't talk about it, especially if they were actually really in the shit.
Yeah.
At least they don't talk about it to me. They might talk.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no, you're right. Like, especially just thinking about, actually, I'm going to do that on Sunday, because I like to, since I've been out here, I'm in Virginia, I like to run into the city on the weekend and just either go to a different memorial or something. So, yeah, I think I'm gonna hit up the Vietnam one. I haven't seen it since I've been here. I'm gonna go do that probably Sunday. And then I'm overdue. I'm overdue for, like, I can see the Arlington Cemetery from my balcony here. I was there for the first time about a year and a half ago, so I'm going to check that out when the weather's good again. It's been fucking raining.
If people haven't been, the capital of the country is worth going to see.
Yeah.
I've been several times.
Yeah, it's I know we don't really do stuff as much as, European countries do when it comes to, like, because we're just not as old, right? But I mean, there are some pretty moving things here. Like when I finally, for the first time, got to go and see the Thomas Jefferson Memorial, like that fucking was cool. Like I wasn't expecting that shit. Like that, you walk into that and it's just mountain of a man statue just looking. And I'm like, geez, man, that's fucking. And then I think the next weekend I went and saw the Abe Lincoln one for the first time. Like, that's fucking cool, man. And you read the stuff on the walls that, you know, most people are there just to get selfies with. But when you actually read the words of what these men wrote, like, man, that stuff's fucking powerful, man. If that doesn't move you, then you're just fucking, either you're too young, or you're just too dumb, or you just don't have a fucking heart, you know.
Or
or
when
all
you go
three.
to that, when you go to that memorial tomorrow, if the pure quantity of names on that wall doesn't move you,
that's nuts.
It's that, again, that war was lost by our government, not our fighting people.
Well, that's, I mean, you know, it's popped back up with that Marine sergeant speaking in front of, you know, the House.
Oh, exactly.
A couple of days, like, it's the same fucking thing, man. It doesn't change. Different war, same fucking story. You know, well, great. Less people are dying because of our technology in terms of what we protect our soldiers with. But it's, man, at the end of the day, it still comes down to like a fucking cluster. It's the same fucking thing, man. It's an embarrassment.
Well, and lately they've been, from what I hear from people who know more than I do, they're losing a lot of seasoned heavy hitters because they're just not willing to put up with the
retention's a huge problem. Yeah,
and those guys aren't easy to replace.
No, they're not. They're very, very expensive, and that knowledge isn't coming with them.
Yeah, and they're not training the next crew. So you have someone lesser than that training who's coming up. I mean,
I remember when I was in basic training. So, you know, when you see a soldier with a patch on their right arm, that, you know, the slang for it is a combat patch, but it's the overseas service insignia, right? It means they've deployed and served somewhere in a designated combat zone. And I remember seeing that for the first time in basic training and asking one of my my drill sergeants what does it mean? And he's like, you'll learn soon enough. And he was kind of foreshadowing. So I don't know if he just knew shit, right? Because this was 2002. Like, I joined after 9/11, right? And he's like, you'll know soon enough. You know, 9/11 had already happened. I was just like, well, okay, I don't know what the fuck that means, but cool, whatever. But yeah, they never talked about any of that shit. And then, you know, when I was a drill sergeant myself in 2009 is when we got to Benning. Everybody had them. Like, it used to be like, it wasn't a thing anymore. Like, everybody had those patches, man.
Were stress cards a thing when you were a DI?
That's not a real thing, man. It never happened. It never happened. It's such a crazy fucking myth that's kind of blown up out of nowhere. There's probably like a pilot program that fucking TRADOC did, and they realized how stupid it was, but it was never a thing, man. Like,
well, you guys take it way too easy on them now.
Everything's gotten.
They took it easy on me back in 87, 86. See, my dad was in there, drill sergeant for 6 years, one tour when you could still lay hands on a recruit. And then in the next tour, they had just changed it so that you could no longer physically touch a recruit. So we used to stand there like this and say, maltreat yourself, private.
Yeah, it's definitely different. I mean, I can only imagine what it's like 14 years later, 12 years later, whatever the fuck it is at this point. Because I mean, even when I was I went through in 2002, so 7 years after that, I thought it was crazy how much it's changed. So it's always changing, and that's not necessarily mean just, you know, it's getting worse, but it's just we got different types of soldiers, man. Like different stuff that they learn. Like, the stuff they learned in the basic training that I was teaching was way more advanced than what I learned. Like, I was still learning Vietnam era shit because we hadn't started the global war on terror, really. We hadn't learned any of those lessons. We hadn't incorporated any of that shit into it yet. So
exactly.
Yeah, I mean, there's pluses and minuses to it for sure. Don't get me wrong. Like,
the rank and file, it's just like, you know, some of our law enforcement, rank and file are good. It's the upper management that are all
the ones who stick around.
Yeah. Make it a super a lifelong career. In politics end of it, the officer end.
Yeah. I mean, jeez. Politics, huh? That's, where do you that's just gonna be so random, but like, what do you think about term limits?
Oh, term limits? Yeah, we should have had them a long time ago.
I feel like we did at some point, right?
We have term
limits. It was
limits.
Never really like implied that you could make service. You couldn't make that as like a career. Like, people, like, look at the founding. They went and they did their job and then they left. You know?
Oh, and they were only there like 3 months out of the year because they all actually had jobs,
yeah,
and were making money out in society.
Yeah.
I think you shouldn't be able to be elected Congress unless you've held an actual job, not come from academia, been in the military, something along those lines to serve as a politician. Because coming straight out of school, never holding a job, that's not real life. Even going through college, college life wasn't real life.
Yeah.
You were learning lessons, but I mean, it's just like high school was cliquish. College, got out, the cliques sort of went away. At least the smaller cliques went away. There were still, certain cliques. I forgot where I was going with that.
Term limits, man.
It's term limits. Yeah. I still forgot where I was going with it.
Too much Dr. Pepper, bro. Too much Dr. Pepper. Where's Lucy? Lucy, get that Dr. Pepper away. No, I bring it up because I think you make a great point. All right. It was different. I understand, 25 to be a congressman. Got it. But that was when, and people always make these arguments with the Constitution, like, well, that's not what the founders meant. It's like, yeah. Well, they probably also didn't mean, like you just said, someone straight out of college runs for fucking Congress and gets elected, because whatever. But what experience do you bring to that besides you're just whatever letters next to your name, you're going to just blindly vote for anyway, right? Like, are you truly representing your district? Like, are you actually going back and getting a consensus on what they want? Or are you just blindly voting by that letter next to your name? And that's what we're at.
None of them represent their district after 6, maybe 8 years. After 8 years, they're not really living in their district. They're in Washington 90% of the time. Right. I think build them barracks, build a nice hotel. They don't need a house in Washington and or whatever. Hell, their salaries, what, 140, 200 and something $1,000 a year,
which I get. That's not I mean, if you have to live here and back where your own district is and you don't have a job, like you said, then that's gonna be a problem. But if you're expecting to fucking, live in some 7,000 square foot penthouse apartment in DC, you probably can't.
They all come out millionaires. I mean, multi-millionaires. They go in with net worth of less than $1 million and come out, double digit.
Weird. That is a weird
build them barracks instead of having each individual.
I thought I've read about that. There's there actually are some sort of I think my cousin, he's been in DC forever, but he talked about Boehner. Like, Boehner used to live in some guys. He used to rent like a basement apartment from a couple for the longest time. Like, he didn't look for a fucking rich way of living while he was here, and he was a speaker and he cried a lot and all, but he was like a legit, he believed in actual serving his district, right?
Well, there's a lot of them, I'm sure, that take a cheaper route.
Yeah, because we only know the people we know, right? There's 535 of those fucking people. We know the loud 20 mouths fucking that we get forced to see every day. There's a lot of them that are just probably, like you described, are just good fucking servants, right, of their district.
Well,
they try to be.
Yeah, you would hope so.
Yeah.
But I think showing the division in the country and how things are voted party line,
so
truly that dual mentality, that black or white,
it's so dumb
in politics, is retarded. I mean, excuse me.
No, it is retarded. No, I absolutely fucking hate it. I and that's why I said, like, it all comes down to what letters next to your fucking name. And every now and then someone steps out and then they get their little pee-pee slap because, God forbid you vote for something that your actual district is in their best interest. No, like, we need you based on the letter next to your name. That's how you're going to vote. Like, there's that documentary just came out on Nancy Pelosi and like how she used to just call all the younger, like, junior congressmen, like, no, you're going to vote like this, and be all happy about it and hang up and be like, yeah, that went well. Like, because that's what she's expecting, right?
Exactly.
How is that fucking representative politics?
It's not. It's not. We are no longer truly a representative.
No, we're not.
Republic. We are closer to the democracy than people want to admit. And what is democracy? Democracy is two wolves and a sheep talking about what's for dinner. Yeah. Mob rule. That's what democracy is. Mob rule. Yeah. That's the same problem with what is it now? 46% of the population, I think, I forget where I read that, doesn't really pay taxes.
They don't pay taxes, you said?
Yeah, they don't pay taxes. They either under the thing or they just don't pay taxes. They don't make enough to pay taxes or whatever it is. I forget the number. I'd have to look it up again real quick. But if you don't pay taxes, I almost think you shouldn't be able to vote because you're getting representation. It's no representation, no taxation without representation. Right. So if you're paying a tax, you should get a vote. If you're not paying tax, you're just voting for the free shit.
Well, then we also have plenty. How many people actually vote in this country, right? Not enough.
No. They all, it don't count. It don't count. Well, that's why a third party will never work until you get a legitimate candidate or there's enough people pissed off about both parties, which I think we're kind of close to because the Republicans have showed us over and over again. They're happy. Well, they're happy to be the minority.
They're happy to be there.
They're happy to be the minority. And
that's also how we got Bill Clinton, right? That's how
they can raise a shitload of money off of being the minority.
Mm-hmm.
We are going to do this. And every time they get back in power, they do the same fucking shit. Yeah. They do the same shit. It's the two cheeks on the same ass. None of them like you. That's why I don't understand the Republican versus Democrat. It should be our way of life versus the way of life or one, I don't want to say one government, but they're wanting us to adopt other cultures' norms, other cultures, what they presume acceptable. I'm okay with that, but you're not going to make, I'm okay with you being, but I'm not okay with you making me.
Right. And that's what we're really seeing. And I was talking about this, like it's my undergrad was political science. It's a term from political science. It's the tyranny of the minority, right? Like you amplify the smallest, loudest section of anything. And as soon as you acknowledge and give them credibility, you can never take it back.
Oh, exactly.
There it is for like.
Here's an example, and it's no. I think now the numbers. Well, I think 7% of the population now identify as gay, but now it is 100% pushed in every single program, every episode, every movie.
Right.
But in real life,
it's not
I can go out there and I'm never going to see it.
Yeah.
Or I might, you know what I mean? It's not, it's completely
not forced. As big as they make, like, and when that comes back to media, like what is forced into a mainstream and culture and is right. That like, that's it's the same concept. Like they make something amplified that really isn't as big as it is.
What the media does for sure is they're in the programming game. All of them, even Fox News, they're all in the programming game. You're not getting the real news from anybody. I mean, you know that working for the government. People think our government is we're the best that's available on the planet, but we are far, far, far from perfect. We have some dirty people in some high places doing some dirty things.
I'm all for it as long as it benefits us.
Well, I'm talking about
we need to be the number one at the game. Whatever game we're playing, we need to be number one.
Well, I'm okay with being number one too, but I mean, there's just like the Epstein list. I thought that was supposed to come out. I'm sure there's some people that are in power that are on that list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did Epstein kill himself?
I don't think so. I don't think so. Somebody better check Hillary's itinerary.
What was the thing like? I just saw this meme the other day. Like the first person to die from airline turbulence recently, and they happen to be a Clinton lawyer.
Yeah, there are odds. If you go, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I joke. Like,
I know. Yeah, I'm not either. I just,
you go back through their history of people that have died that are somewhat connected to them and the ways they've died. That kind of their luck. If it's not a conspiracy, their luck.
It's pretty bad luck, man. That's pretty bad luck. Yeah, I'm glad I don't know them, so that's good.
I don't know them either.
I should be okay. I should be okay. Man, this is the problem when I start doing this is the more I drink, the more I want to come up with and talk about, but then the more I forget. So what was I just about to ask you?
I don't know.
Yeah, I do know. All right. Farmageddon.
Okay.
What is it? When is it? Where is it? What's going down? Do you need someone to pedal bourbon lessons? What's going on there? Like I need to know.
Farmageddon was started by Floof.
Oh, he was really? I didn't know he was the founder of this.
Well, he is the reason it is what it is. It was supposed to be some sort of, this is the story I got. I don't know personally because I wasn't in it originally. I think it started around 2017. My first one was 2019. But it's just to get together, a bunch of people, a bunch of friends all over the country, hang out, get a lot of firearms training, shoot the shit, eat food, sit around a campfire, man.
Yeah, I joked last year. I was like, I'm going to come, I'm going to hold PT sessions and tell y'all how to drink bourbon. That's
this is how I met the cat, Rob.
Yeah.
I think he's falling down cat now. Used to be
whatever. Yeah.
Rob Province, educated hillbilly, whatever.
Amazing user of the Twitter.
Yeah, I'm at Farmageddon. Don't really know anybody. Met him that night. Kind of get a little hello. I'm sitting outside on the porch swing smoking a cigarette. Out comes Rob in tidy whities and a plate carrier. Nothing else. Walks out to the edge of the porch, throws out his arms like this. Now, this is like 6:30 in the morning. It's barely light out. Throws it out on the porch, just goes, turned around, walks back in, and I'm fumbling for my phone. I still hate myself to this day that I didn't get that photo. But that was my first meeting of Floof. So it's pretty chill, pretty laid back.
He is who he proclaims to be.
Yeah, and there's Epstein's mother is the guy truly in charge. It's his
I don't know
facility.
I don't know that one.
Yeah. Used to be Hombre.
Do I know that one? I don't know if I know that or not. I don't know if I've come across that one. I'm sure maybe I've seen. I definitely don't know it from.
Anyways, that's how you get into Farmageddon. Anyways, I can get you.
Yeah, where's it at this year? Georgia somewhere?
Yeah, it's in Georgia. It was in Louisiana last year. I can't give too many didetails on location, especially after that stupid Vice article last year.
Did they write a Vice article about it?
The year before. Yeah, you didn't hear about that?
No, I was in a zone out phase probably when that was going on.
Oh my God. Like they actually interviewed a couple people. Hell, they mentioned my account, somebody else's account, and I had no clue what they're talking about. But supposedly some right wing associated with, I think they said Proud Boys or something, training thing going on. It was crazy. It all had to do with I think it had to do with Dunlap too.
Oh God, Jesus! That guy finds his way into everything. It's such a fucking nerd. He's such a dork.
But yeah, it's a Thursday or Friday through Sunday, yeah, or Thursday through Sunday. I handle Saturday night meals. I end up cooking a lot because my smoker's there, I'm there, and people want food. So, and I enjoy.
And
cooking.
you know what goes best with a grill, especially a smoking grill?
Bourbon.
Yes, sir.
I would agree with you back when I drank.
Yeah,
I'm only a year and 4 months sober, but
no, that's good. Good for you, man. No, that's awesome. Good for you.
I'm in my bar that I built that is no longer a bar. There's my 3D printer that hasn't run in 2 years.
Oh shit! Look at that. Nice, man. What made you? What was this part of the weight loss, or was it just you just made the decision to stop drinking, or what?
I was a prick, being drunk, and I just it was involved in too much of my life.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. So, like, and it's like anything else, right? If you recognize that it becomes a problem, then And that's anything. It's not just alcohol. Like there's a lot of things that people have that you could probably remove and be a better person for, or live better quality of life over.
Tell me what your problem is. I'll tell you why it's your fault.
It's your fault.
Exactly.
Yeah,
it's
man.
It's all my fault. So yeah. No, I just quit. I feel better. I started getting active after quitting. I don't see any downsides.
Yeah. That's good. Good for you, man.
But I did matter of fact, I've had pretty much about every one of those I can see on your bar over there. All good quality.
That's the top shelf. So the bottom shelf is the rye. This is all bourbon. This is rye down here. So I fucked up when I made the show title that There Will Be Bourbon instead of There Will Be Whiskey, because I can't have rye if the show's about bourbon, right? Or fueled by bourbon. So I've been limited by about half of my bar over here. And yeah, what I was going to say, the reason I say that is, man, alcohol, whether it's wine, whether it's beer, I don't know if I get it as much with beer. I mean, I've had some brewery experiences that I'm like, oh, wow, yeah, that does taste really cool in that. But wine mostly because, it's the setting, it's the history that you learn behind the wine that you're drinking, it's the estate, the family, whatever it is in Napa, especially where I was at. But especially with distilleries and then where you experience the drink, right, is what I like to call it, because the experience, I think, makes things more enjoyable. Same probably with food, right? Like,
yeah,
if I'm going to eat if Claude's going to cook some barbecue and I got, I sit here at my table by myself and eat it, it's probably not going to be as good as if I'm at Farmageddon surrounded with a bunch of fucking, like-minded individuals having a good time eating your fucking food, right? It's probably going to taste better there.
Yeah, well, yeah, it'll definitely be more memorable. We're a little more diverse than all like-minded at Farmageddon. Contrary to what they try and say on Twitter, our whole corner of Twitter is a lot more diverse than most people realize.
Yeah. Absolutely. But I mean, I bring that up because there's been, and I've read enough about this to know that sometimes it's the heat maybe that makes the experience, in addition to the setting or whatever. But aside from being at a really great bar, whether it's dark, like the classic leather tables or leather and it's just whatever, or being in a distillery. But if I've had bourbon in two places, and there's some others I can name, but two ones that really come to mind that always make it taste better than if I just decide to pour something wherever I'm at while I'm grilling, like especially
always better,
right? And then while I'm in a hot tub.
Yeah, see, I could never drink in a hot tub.
No? Oh man.
No, because you get your sweat in the hot tub.
Yeah.
And then alcohol is a dehydrate. I mean, you'll dehydrate on alcohol. So
one and done, man. You go right to bed, but it tastes amazing while you're in there. Just
I lose too much water weight.
Yeah, but anytime I
give me a worse headache.
Yeah, anytime I grill, it's just it's so much sweeter to me. Like the flavors pop out so much more, and it's just like you enjoy watching your whatever it is you're cooking come to life in a way.
Beer and that smoker used to go together.
Yeah,
every time.
So, huh? Beer, okay. What type of beer?
Well, that's what. Oh, I'm Demp and I Bud Light.
Is it Bud Light? Okay.
I spent time in Germany. I like. My favorite is the dark beers, and I drink them warm. I drink those warm.
Very German.
I'm not an IPA guy.
I became an IPA guy when I was in California. I actually like them now.
You ever had Dragon's Milk?
Yeah, the stout.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. That's a great beer.
Yeah.
That's a great beer. I like Fat Tire, but I heard they're changing the.
They changed the so I went to the Fat Tire brewery and I went to their North Carolina one. That was fun. So that was the first time I had a cherry sour. I must have had 4 of those because it was pouring rain outside. I was like, I'm not going to my car. I might as well drink another. And meanwhile, that stuff's 10.5% alcohol. So I was like, oh boy, I'm gonna have to Uber this one out. So yeah, I don't drink as much beer now as I used to. I'm more wine and bourbon. I probably drink way more wine than people think. They think I just drink bourbon all the time.
When I was drinking Tito's was my
my
drink. Yeah.
Tito's.
Tito's.
I try to avoid anything clear, to be honest with you, man.
Yeah, see, brown liquor. Jameson's my favorite.
Yeah.
But Jameson, that meme you see of Jameson of this line, there's a camera.
Yeah, that's you.
This line here is this. This line here is that. Well, yeah, that's exactly it. Naked in the grass, staring up front. It's going. Oh,
see, I've done that. That's tequila right there. That's why I won't fuck with tequila anymore. I'm like, I will never drink tequila on purpose again. Never.
Neither will I. I beer bonged a pint off of. Yeah, I made it about 4 steps after beer bonging.
You're lucky you're alive, dude. That's how like that was what was that country singer? Whitley?
I've done quite a bit of dumb shit. Again.
No, I gotta look this up. Because Morgan Wallen is it Wallen, Whalen, whatever his fucking name is. He's got a song about this guy. Whitley. I have to tell this story now that I'm looking at that country. No. All right. I know how to do this. Stand by to stand by. This is the best part, is when you fill dead space for people who don't actually watch this and they just listen. So you got to randomly talk. I'm a trained professional, Claude. Like I'm really, I'm pretty fucking good at this point. Keith Whitley. Yeah. You ever heard of Keith Whitley, country singer?
I have heard of Keith Whitley.
Do you know how he died?
No, I do not.
So apparently, like, his brother-in-law came over in the morning and they were supposed to get together to go play golf. And he told his brother-in-law told him I'll be back at 8:30. Came back and found him dead on the bed, right? From alcohol poisoning. And the autopsy said that essentially he had the equivalent of 20 100 proof shots of liquor in his system because of how high his blood alcohol content. It was like 0.47. So
that he died at 0.47.
0.47. So I bring this up to you because you said you had tequila. So your standard 750 milliliter bottle has about 17 shots total in it, given the take on how you pour. So if you did a pint, dude, you're lucky to be a fucking alive.
Well, I'm shocked that 4.7 is alcohol poisoning, because I know for a fact I've blown a 4 once.
Oh shit.
Yeah, don't drink and drive.
Well, I don't know how big Keith Whitley. I don't know how big you are, but maybe he's just, still, you're borderline, man. That's close. I'm not big,
but I'm not big, but I had quite the tolerance.
Yeah, no. So I've only been like really, 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 really blackout to the point like I don't know what happened, and that was my freshman baseball orientation or initiation, whatever the fuck you want to call it. Back when hazing was a thing, still
hazing
in college, right? So
bring it back,
man. This was tough, man. So I remember. So it was all the freshmen. There were 7 of us, and they broke us into a group of 4 and a group of 3, and. So I was from Florida, playing at school in New York. So my nickname naturally became Florida, right? Well, it's very original. And then, as you can see, eventually I went back to school at UCF. What's up? So I remember the night started with beer funnels, like you said, funneling a bunch of beer down there. Then we had to do keg stands. Then we went upstairs, and they started giving us like the little what are those fucking cups called? What are the
solo cups?
Yes, thank you. Fucking solo cups full of vodka. And here I am. You remember how you were saying you're like you and your nephew-in-law talking shit about fucking
beer, liquor, never sicker.
Yeah, exactly.
Liquor, beer, never fear.
You were talking about how you guys are talking shit about, oh, this burger ain't hot or whatever. Well, that's me talking about, oh, I can drink. I'm from fucking Florida, blah, 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 blah. I remember that, like, feeding me cups of vodka, and I'm just pounding them. So all I remember is probably having the 3rd one, and then from that point on, I don't know what happened. So I woke up on the grass of the baseball house,
butt naked.
Well, here's where it gets funny. So I woke up, obviously had to go to the bathroom, right? I'm like, well, I don't think I should piss in the morning on the baseball house yard, because obviously there's other houses here. So I go in the bathroom. I was wearing, and I saved this shirt for the longest time, and then eventually I threw it out. But I was wearing a white Adidas shirt that was just covered in black Sharpie, fucking throw up, vomit, everything. My head was shaved down the middle.
Reverse mohawk.
Yes. The hair was stuffed down my underwear. And then my face, they wrote in black Sharpie on my forehead, Florida, with the state of Florida and some, and some ball. Dude, I have never been so, shit. And so anyway, I found out like later, I went home, obviously, passed out for like a day. I remember my roommate, my roommate was on the golf team. I remember him waking me up. He's like, man, I think you should come get some food. I was like, okay. So there was this guy who was a part of it, but he didn't go through it because he was a transfer and he was a sophomore, but he was apparently outside and we called him Sad because he looked like Bitter Beer Face. His last name was Gilmore. So instead of Happy Gilmore, we called him Sad Gilmore.
Sad Gilmore.
Because he looked like Bitter Beer Faces. And apparently this guy was over me all night. Like, you guys killed Florida. He's fucking dead. Which now in hindsight, I'm like, I don't know how I ended up I don't know. I wish there was someone I could go back in time and talk to about like what was going on. Because you got to remember, this was 2000. So this was before all this shit, right? Fortunately. Yeah. Because I mean, if that happened today, like I'm viral, baby.
Yeah,
like,
you're definitely viral.
You're viral. The whole baseball team shut down. Oh yeah. There's no baseball team at that school anymore. Like it'd been fucking nuts. But man, that was my initiation. I never told that one on this show. Good for you, Claude. Thanks for getting that out of me. Yeah, that was.
Well, I'll give you a story back. You just tell me what age you want the story from.
Oh, okay. Shit. Well, let's go back to your subculture days.
Oh, I gotta fucking piss.
Go piss.
You got a buffer break? Hold on.
Yeah, go, because I can take care of some of my.
Oh yeah, you're gonna edit. Yeah, I gotta take piss.
Yeah, edit. I'm not gonna edit at all. I don't edit, buddy. No, I'm just gonna fill dead space by talking about whatever text messages I'm getting here. So. For those of you watching, you saw Claude leave. For those of you listening, he'll be back. My daughter is sending me the workout that she just did, so that's great. That's good. I will respond at a time at my convenience because I am in the middle of There Will Be Bourbon. There will be bourbon. So where am I at? I already said the bourbon that I was drinking, but I did pour a Weller Foolproof single barrel store pick that I got from Lawler's Liquor. If you're ever in Napa, California, great liquor store right in downtown. If you don't know where it's at, I wouldn't say right in downtown, but it's fairly in downtown. But it's across the street from, okay, what is the name of that fucking donut shop? Anyway. If you know where Napa High School and the Starbucks is, it's right across the street from that in Napa. So there we go. Anyway, all right, Claude, I was filling them in on this, the Weller I poured and where they can get it. All right, subculture story time from Claude. Let's go with the age of 25.
Oh, let's see, 25. That would have been, what year would that have been? Fuck, I'm retarded. Yeah. I remember all my life, dude. I just don't remember it in order.
Yeah, no.
I mean, that is the God's. That's the God's honest truth.
I gotta write that down. That's gonna.
When I tell a story,
that's the quote.
I have to go. I'm not sure when this happened. I know the story of my life. I just don't know the order, and that is 100% true.
I'm gonna use that as the tagline for when I post this about us. Remember all of my life. I just don't remember the order.
That works.
I love that. That's a fucking shirt right there. That's what that should be. That should be your logo for your hot sauce, man.
What am I doing? 54.
That would have been 99, right?
Would have been 99? Okay.
No, so wait, you're 23. So 97, 98 around that time, yeah.
I'm 54.
Yeah. It's probably 97, 98, late 90s.
Okay, late 90s. I was a let's see, no, late 90s I got back.
No, fine. Here, I got a better idea. Let's go with the time when you found out Kurt Cobain shot and killed himself. Let's go with around that time frame. What was the reaction then? And then what were you doing at that time in that subculture?
Okay, I can't remember when Kurt Cobain died. Let me tell you.
94.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't remember 94. My kid was born in 95. So I can tell you, I don't remember 94. My kid was born in 95. I can tell you that.
All right, there you go.
I think.
Well, in 94, you created your kid, so that's something you can remember.
Yes. I just got back from Arizona. No, I just got back from California. In 95, I think. Yeah, I can't remember if I got back in 95 or not. Let me just give you I'll give you a quick thing from California, how I got to California.
Yeah, let's see. That's a good question. Because you're from where? Where are you from?
I was born in South Carolina.
Okay.
Lived in North Carolina, then Missouri.
Missouri. So you're in Missouri now. Okay, got it.
Yeah. Right. And I'm from Missouri. Got back when I got out of the military. That's a whole nother story. I'm not gonna.
Yeah, we still haven't even talked about that, but that's fine.
I'm not gonna share that. Me and the military didn't get along.
Okay, that's fine. That's the stuff we should have been talking about.
I got out on a failure to adapt to military life.
Oh, I know that one. I know that one. That's the catch-all to get privates out of basic training. Failure to adapt.
I got out of it after 2 years.
Oh, well, at least you made it that far.
Yeah, I made it 2 years. But if I'd have stayed stateside, I'd have stayed in. But again, we're not going to get in that story. We can do that another time.
Yeah, I was just about to say, man, we finally, after an hour and 45 minutes, we found the story.
Well, if you want that story, I'll give that story. Anyways, I just got back. I was working at just got out of high school. No, wait, I just got back from the military. That's what we're talking about. See, again, I told you I know my life, just not in order.
Not the order.
Just got back from the military. I sold my car and hitchhiked with my cousin.
From Missouri to California?
Yeah. Oh, wait. So, okay, see, again, my stories, fucking life. This is high school.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say, people don't hitchhike anymore. You can't. I'd be scared out of my mind to hitchhike if I ever had to.
This was 1988. So actually, it was just after I got back. 1988. Hitchhiked with my cousin from Kansas City, downtown Kansas City, to San Diego, California. Arrived with $125 in my pocket, but I did know somebody there, so I had a place to stay. We had a place to stay, and it took 3 days. Now the trip was very, very interesting, shall I say?
Yes,
they
you should say.
My first ride was from a medical devices salesman. They actually drove us far enough, paid for a Motel 6 hotel room for me and my cousin, and then gave us another 4-hour ride. The second ride was from an older couple that had already picked up a hitchhiker. They were in an RV. We only rode about an hour and a half with them because we stopped at a truck stop. The other hitchhiker was scamming. He was stealing from them. We were like, no, dude, you got to find another ride. Well, then they got mad at us and kicked us out for that too. Yeah, exactly. The next ride was, I forget who gave me that one, but we got snowed in Denver, Colorado. They shut down the freeway. So we're trying to find a ride. We're the local truck stop. There's a motel next door. They had a bar, so we're in it. Wendy's like, I'm going to Colorado Springs. So we can get to San Diego going down south. We'll just take, 8 across. So we get in his truck and he's like, he was drunk as fuck. It's like a 1960 something truck. He's like, here's the thing. The fuel filter gets rust in it. You have to stop every 50 miles and spray it out and put it back in, because I put gas in the trunk or tank from a rusty can. It's freezing out, no heat, blankets, and we're like, all right, one of us is going to drive, one of us is going to watch him because we don't trust him. He was passed out the whole route, the whole ride from Denver to Colorado Springs. This dude was passed out. So basically, he got an Uber for free, and we got a ride because there's no way he could have drove himself. But every 50 miles, I had to stop, spray out the fuel filter, put it back in, start it up in a truck with no heat. Took a shower at the what is that? Salvation Army. Got a ride from two chicks in a pickup that I could bum a chew from. Was the greatest thing ever. First time I'd seen a hot chick chewing tobacco. I was okay with that. They got us into Albuquerque. That was the longest stop. And we were on the side of the road, I think, for like 4 hours. Every time we were waiting for a ride, whatever state we were in, police would pull up and ask us names and tattoos. Like, why are you doing that? Because we find a dead body. We want to be able to identify it. It was pretty fun, man. I wouldn't do it today, but it was a blast back then.
I talked about, because I want to hear more about it, but though I did talk about this when Terry Shapert was on about 2 years ago now at this point. We talked about that. It's like, those are things you used to be able to kind of do in America and feel safely without any of this technology that we have today that could actually assist you, cell phones, cameras, traffic camera, all that shit. And people were doing it like it was not a big thing, but now you would never think to do that. Like there's nothing in my soul that would make me go hitchhike, but we'll pull up an Uber and have a fucking stranger with that come pick you up.
Yeah, exactly. Right? I would do it again. I would do it again if I had to, but there's no reason other than me absolutely have to bum a ride, then I might hitchhike. But back then it was, of course I would. Up?
Think about that though. Like who I would not pick someone. I'm not picking anybody up, man. I'm not.
I picked up a few people, but I'm very selective. I don't ever give out money to panhandlers. Yeah. I will, if I really think it's a need, maybe swing through a drive-through, come back by, give them something to eat, or ask them if they take them somewhere and have a meal. But other than that, I'm not giving money because it's not going to anything good.
Yeah. So, all right. So you get to San Diego. What the hell happened next?
Stayed with my buddy. Started working at where's my first job in San Diego? Oh yeah, I was bellhop at the Grand Hotel. Yeah, bellhop overnights, Grand Hotel.
Nice.
Downtown. When was there for a while, moved out of my buddies because I didn't want to be once I got a first paycheck, I moved into one of those what are they? Now we'd call them sort of extended stay, but this was above this was above a restaurant, a boxing gym, and it was like $70 a week. And you shared a bathroom at the end of the hall with everyone on the hall, and it was
like the barracks. You're back in the barracks, but you have to pay this time.
Now you got to pay. It was probably the exact same size, and you had a microwave, a sink, and a small counter. That was it. But I did work out at the boxing place below. But I worked Grand Hotel as a bellhop, which was very interesting, very, very strange. Sub stories there I could tell, but I won't. Started working at the Harbor House as a busboy. Now and I've been in and out of the restaurant business for a long time, but that's the first time I realized there are some career servers.
Yeah.
I mean, people
my uncle's one. Yeah.
Career server.
High-end steakhouse.
Yeah, I was a server and I made good money at it, but I never thought of it as being my job. But that place was the first place that I ever realized that, I mean, you had to wait in line to progress. They didn't just hire new servers.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool. I ate lunch at the bar from what is that? The Top Gun movie.
Oh yeah. I was in San Diego for Eddie. If you remember Eddie McClintock, his movie premiere. I was there in San Diego in December. Yeah, I walked by that. No, that's
is it still there?
Yeah. You got a big ass fucking sign out there because they're advertising Kansas City barbecue.
Yeah, I eat lunch there quite often. I see. Then I wanted to do something different, and that's how I got into DJing. I went and got involved in a radio television broadcasting school.
Oh, shit.
I actually got my FCC license.
Oh,
but
damn. We have an actual professional here. Look at this. It ain't me.
Well, I got working at America's Original Sports Bar, which at the time was the largest sports bar entering Coronado Island. It was actually on the base, so I had to check into the base every time we went. Yeah. But I was already working there, and they had like 3 sand volleyball pits, you know, a whole room with tables, a full like restaurant bar food. It was huge. It was fun. Started off just doing afternoons, which I increased business there by my music selections for happy hours. That's awesome. Then I started working nights, man, and then I went to security. I did pretty much every position there was in that job till I married my stripper and came back to Missouri.
Did you marry a stripper?
I did marry a stripper. I was a DJ.
While you were not in the Army?
Yeah. I was a DJ at a strip club up at Camp Pendleton. You know, with the jarheads, man.
Oh, shit. What was her stripper name?
Oh my God. You know, I can't remember. I remember her real name. I just can't remember her stripper name. Well, we were married for 10 years, but legitimately together 7 months.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I spent, oh God, I don't know how much in Vegas getting married on the way from San Diego back to Missouri. Pretty much all my wad, everything I'd saved. Then I went to work as a server, again, making, you know, $50 to $75 a day in a 4-hour shift. And then when I got it, you know, I got more as I got back into being in town. I was working at Ponderosa or whatever.
Ponderosa, hell yeah.
Yeah. Actually, I made good money at Ponderosa.
Are those still around?
Yeah. Well, ours isn't anymore, but
yeah, I was gonna say that. I don't see those much.
Back in the day, they were.
Yeah, they were big.
But once she went to work as a receptionist, and after a while, that $7-8 an hour, which is what you were making back then, wasn't enough. So I came home from work one day, and
she was gone.
She was gone.
Back to stripping.
Yep, back. I assume so.
Haven't seen her since, huh?
No, haven't seen her since. I got papers 9 years and 3 months later.
What?
That said, will you sign these? I'm like, yeah, I've been waiting for them. I'm not paying for the divorce shit.
Oh, so is that your son's mom?
No.
Okay.
That's.
I was gonna say, I was wondering how that worked. Okay, man, this is great.
No. That was another story. Anyways, after all that, I moved back to Missouri, and. See, again,
it's the order. I got it. But it happened. Yeah. That's all that matters. It doesn't matter when.
Yeah, but none of the stories are, because I happen to think so hard on them. You have to just give me a chance, and I'll when one pops in my head, I'll say it. Yeah. I'm trying to chronologically. You can see me doing this. You can see me going, this is high school, this. I remember everything.
Me normally on this show.
If you can't tell, I did a lot of drugs back then. I moved.
I wasn't going to say it. I was just, it's kind of implied at this point.
Oh, I moved a lot of drugs back then. The FBI, I've talked to them. I've talked to the ATF before, the DEA. They thought I was way worse than I was. Don't get me wrong. I was still I was a small fish that strutted like a big cock, I guess. I don't know. I did everything you weren't supposed to do to draw attention, I guess.
And you're still here.
I am still. That is the incredible part, that I'm not in prison or dead.
Yeah, I was gonna say, especially being so close to Mexico and San Diego, I'm going to put 2 and 2 together. Like, yeah, you could have went the wrong way pretty quick, man.
Oh yeah, I dealt with quite a few from south of the border. I'm old enough. We used to get the Mexican lemons, the Quaaludes. You can't even get Quaaludes anymore.
What a time.
Yeah.
I heard so much about San Diego, especially from Marie, and how it's just not what it was, you know, like what it is now. It's more of like it's become very touristy kind of, and not like probably when you were down there.
No, shit. Like I said, it's
going to Tijuana and all. And
I'm 21 years clean and sober from any type of drugs.
Yeah, that's awesome.
21 years.
Yeah, that's great.
But for 13 of them, I could count 13 years before, I could count on one hand the numbers of days I was sober.
That's crazy.
In 13 years. So yeah, it was, like I said, your problem, your fault. I can go through my decisions and you know what, one of the, if anybody can take, I know I've rambled a little bit here. If anybody can
there's nothing wrong with it. Yeah.
If anybody can take one thing away from what I said, is the biggest thing, especially I think with, I don't know, my camera did that for a second. Yeah, it's weird. Is a large problem with changing your life or changing a direction is I had an issue with, I always thought I've gone too far. You know, you put that barrier on yourself that I've passed the point, there is no redemption for whatever it is, whether it's being a solid individual, being somebody trustworthy. Like 21 years of being in the real world, my word is very important to me. It took me a long time to build that up, that if I say something, I mean it. I'm going to do it. You can, other people, that I'm the same no matter who I'm around. That took a long time to, you know, build that back up as who I am as an individual. And part of that was realizing there is no too far. I mean, you can always, it's just, you have to deal with things just like those choices. You have to deal with things that are going to be uncomfortable, that are going to be, depending on what we're talking about, you know, there's going to be shame involved, and shame and stuff like that is a lot of people's hard to bear. It's hard to drop, you know, so if they can take something out of what I say, it's never too late. You've never gone too far.
Right. Yeah. And you know what? I think the big thing that I realized just listening to you tell your story is that for whatever you went through, you're obviously an intelligent guy, right? You're not an idiot, but you've got self-awareness to make those corrections. Because that's what was my follow-up to all that. There was something that made you change it. Was that your son, or what brought you back to?
Well, my dad was always in the back of my head of, there were certain lines, even when I was in that world, that I would not cross.
Yeah. You had a code.
Oh yeah. No kids, nobody that I knew was giving anything to kids.
Yeah.
There was definitely things I would never do, because in the back of my head is my dad would kill me.
But that was always in the back of my head in my entire life, was my dad. Like, I remember my dad saying very clearly to my brother and I told you he was in corrections. Like, he said, if I ever come to work and see you or your brother there, you're going to stay there. And that was what fucking
my rock bottom 21 years ago was, I think it's 21 years ago, 2004. How many years?
Yeah,
that's
about 20. You were there, whatever.
Somewhere in there.
In there.
Like 19, I think 18.
Yeah.
Was forced upon me.
Okay.
Say I shut down a major intersection in Peoria, Arizona for quite a while.
So is this Googleable?
I don't know if you probably can Google it. I know, I don't want Google can tell you a lot of things about a lot of people. Just know that I'm not the murderer that's in prison in Hawaii with the name Claude Krause.
Okay, yeah. I was gonna say, you're definitely not in Hawaii in jail right now.
Because I've Googled myself. I spent 14 days where they paint with their poop type stuff. I figured out some shit. Was facing a pretty hefty sentence, and out of desperation, I reached out to family who I hadn't talked to in, I don't know, forever. I mean, years and years, double-digit years. And they, I didn't even know they heard me. You know, when you're in jail, you collect call. All they heard was gibberish, but it said what county was calling them. So my little brother got on the computer, found my mugshot in Maricopa County, and I had a visitor the next day. It was them. Yeah. So they brought me back here, got me away from there. Wasn't supposed to. Dad, I didn't have any money. My dad helped me get a lawyer. First one had to let go because I was facing 18 years, and they were wanting me to plead out. So I told my dad I need one that wants to be on TV. He got me the right one because I got out 3 years probation, heavy supervised, and that was it.
So from when that happened, you weren't going back.
Well, they took me to the lawyer's office straight from jail, and I was smoking a cigarette in 14 days without anything. I was pretty much spinning wheels in my head. I walked out and was like, okay, I'm going to run. But it happened to be in Scottsdale, Arizona. If anybody knows Scottsdale, Arizona, they know when you look around, it's not your nice, I mean, the golf courses are the nice grassy areas, but most of Scottsdale, Arizona is big ass pebbles that are stacked up like mountains. Yeah. And I look out and see that, and I'm just like, look at what I'm wearing on my feet. And I'm just like, yeah, I'm not running. But I walked back in there and I said, okay, y'all better not let me go smoke a cigarette by myself again, because I'll run. At that point, I was self-aware enough to know that this was serious, had to ask for help. And they helped me get all through the legal shit. And that's when I got back into the real world, I guess, and started working on being an actual person, somebody that, can be trusted, be relied upon, good core values, back to who I always should have been, but allowed myself to just make decision after decision. So I'm saying you're never too far.
Right.
Trust
no,
me.
I agree. I think
I can do it.
It's a powerful thing.
I'm 1,000 times different person mentally than I was back then. I'm not really a different person. I'm just back in control of my brain about what's acceptable, what's okay, what's common decency, what's not, and I'm back in control of that's all it is. You allow yourself to be okay with something. That's kind of talking about society. You allow yourself to be okay with one thing, and then pretty soon it's the next thing, and then it's the next thing, and then you're at that point I was talking about. You think, okay, I've gone too far. Yeah. But that it starts with just one thing. Okay, I'll do that, and then it moves on from that.
When you decided to take control, did you go back to cooking? Like, did you go back to, like, did you immerse yourself more into that world, or
no? I actually never went back. Well, I never went back cooking for somebody else.
Okay, yeah, that's good. Okay.
After that, I started construction because I did construction a lot of years, framing houses in Arizona as well. So I went back to doing construction, and then I got my shit completely together. At that time, I was working to get my kid back, full custody, which I got full custody of my kid back when he was 9.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. Where was I going? I worked construction. Oh yeah, my brother had a appraisal business, and he asked me if I wanted to come do data entry and some research work for him. And turned out I'm pretty good at it, especially phone work and dealing with borrowers and trying to get information. We do retail petroleum properties. That's what we do, appraise them. So I look at P&Ls all day long, plans, financials, costs, that sort of thing. Get it all entered in the system. That's what I do now, pretty much. Now his daughter works with us too. So pretty cool. From where I was to where I am.
And along the way you started making fucking hot sauce and
hot sauce
awesome
just
food.
I think maybe 3 years ago now, and it was just totally spur of the moment. Somebody said,
that's fairly recent that you got into this then. So you've been doing all that other stuff for a long time, and this is okay.
The hot sauce is basically, maybe I can't even remember, maybe 3 years ago now. But like I said, I just cooked it for home. They saw it. Yeah. And my brother, screwing around, made up a label off of my old label back when I was catering.
Shaved.
And, catering. And I put a picture of it on Twitter, and it went from there.
Yeah, no, I love it because like if you go and find the Claude's BBQ account on Twitter and you look at the avatar, it's great. It's
Everyone says, "Why do you have that old picture?" I'm like, because that's when I started Claude's Barbecue. Actually, that was like fucking 20 years ago.
You look like a golfer.
Yeah, like 20 years ago. Yeah, I was clean cut back in the day. I actually gave a shit.
Yeah.
Now, man, now it's jeans and flannel, maybe Carhartt and cargos, and I don't care what else.
That's good. No, that's 100% right. You don't there's when you stop worrying about what other people think and perceive, if you can, don't get me wrong, there are times when you need to worry about those things, but when you can get to that point where you don't, I think you're doing it right.
I agree, and a lot of that is people just need to be comfortable with themselves, man.
Yep.
Don't try and be
100%.
any more than you are.
100%.
And just offer, in relationships, man, just be a true friend. Be somebody that somebody can call, pick up the fucking phone, do what you say. That shit's important.
It is. And that's what I think, like I said, that's been the best part about our little corner of that fucking Twitter sphere, whatever that health site, whatever it is you want to refer to it as. Some great dudes, great women, great people on that site, man, that are just fucking awesome.
When I was going through that, deciding to quit alcohol.
Yeah, I remember.
I had people DMing me, contacting my brother.
Yeah.
That's something about our corner of Twitter too that I think is fantastic. Is if they know somebody's in need of something, support, help, whatever. If they can't,
look at the stuff Eddie does all the time, man.
Yeah, if Eddie's a superstar, dude.
Yeah,
he's a superstar. He won't tell. He does a lot.
Yeah.
I'm still pissed he didn't end up stopping by when he was supposed to. He was supposed to stop by and see me. I was going to do a weekend at the lake, but I
think driving back and forth.
I think that was the Kentucky flood. So I got to give him a break because he was knee deep in water helping folks out. So
no, that is pretty cool. We do some good stuff. We're a bunch of fucking. We can be our assholes.
Sure. I'm definitely an asshole. I'm also a high functioning idiot. So.
Yeah, I think we kind of all are, man. That's a good thing. There's nothing wrong with being a high functioning idiot.
No. I'm comfortable in my lane.
That's right. Good deal, man. All right, brother. I think that's an excellent point for us to kind of wrap it up. You left us with a really good message that people can take away if they made it this far, which they should.
Well, I think I rambled a shit ton.
There's nothing wrong with rambling. That's the whole point. It's usually me rambling because I've had too much of this, but this time I got to actually listen to someone, actually have something to say. Well, no offense to anybody who came on before, but no, I'm just kidding. No, it was great. I really enjoyed talking to you, man. I'd love to have you back on and get more into your subculture life and the Army for sure. Definitely got to find out about those Army stories.
Be happy to do it, brother.
Awesome, dude. All right. That's Claude's BBQ on Twitter. Is there anything else that you have? Is there anywhere people can order your stuff or
they got to DM me. I'm a little light right now. I think the economy, my stuff is not cheap for hot sauce. I mean, it's not the most expensive you're going to get, but it's not cheap. Yeah. But again, that's because it's small batch. And I mean, I do absolutely everything. Yeah. And I just can't afford I've already not wanted to raise the price because produce and supply chains issues. So they DM me if I have it, I'll get it out. I'm not going to raise my price, but I am going to not have it on hand as much. I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait until I have some orders to do more, but I have some still available right now.
Yeah, fair enough. So like I said, Claude's BBQ on Twitter. You can DM him for some hot sauce or just follow him for some amazing food pictures because that's really...
And shit takes.
Yeah, well, no, the shit takes are good. Shit posting's great. It's always fun and entertaining. But look, there is some visual rewards for you for following Claude's account. So that's Claude Krause. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for drinking with me with your Dr. Pepper. That's good. I meant to say that. So Kay last night, she had a dirty Dr. Pepper. Have you ever heard of this?
Is that Jägermeister and Dr. Pepper?
No, it was, she said it was Dr. Pepper, cream, and a shot of something. I already forgot. And that was last night. So that's where I'm at in my life. All right, brother. Thanks for hanging out, dude.
All right, brother. Bye.
Later.